In most African countries, before you leave your parents' house, you need to be married as a woman. Even if you are 30 years old and you have a job, you will still live by the cottage at your parents' house before you leave. And some people believe when women leave and go stay by themselves, some women who are oriented in that sense, they want to experience the world. It's an opportunity as opposed to staying with your parents to have a partner coming over to your house and doing those things. And obviously, when you do that repeatedly because you don't have a stable relationship, you open up to opportunities to either falling pregnant or getting HIV, one of the two. Fellas, is abortion something people should look into seriously? Should we give it airtime? Abortion within our communities. Should abortion be legalized, decriminalized in African nations? Or should Africa keep those very strong and stringent laws against abortion? Do people have the right to choose whether they want to keep a baby or not for whichever reason they choose? Do you think abortion is a problem in our society? Now, which are those problems abortion is bringing? Well, do you think the non-abortion thing is also a problem in our societies? Sierra Leone has a debate right now about decriminalizing abortion, meaning they want to go abortion-free or abortion mode. Meaning people from Sierra Leone, ladies, can now go and have an abortion legally without being criminalized.
Certain things in this bill did not, support our religious values and sensibilities. So if on those grounds we are judged to be unfair to women, to be hard-hearted, then so be it.
Let me just remind you, a lot of African countries criminalize abortion. You cannot do it. It's only under restricted condition. Now, let's talk about Sierra Leone. 10,000s of women and girls attempt to self-terminate their pregnancies every year in Sierra Leone, where abortion is illegal. Therefore, the government is reflected, and they want to come up with a law that will decriminalize abortion, allowing young ladies to go and have their abortion done in the safest condition.
By the time they come to the hospital, there will be so many complications which we as we cannot handle, and some of them will not even come to the hospital. So we are trying to reduce maternal deaths, but if abortion bill is not legalized, the moment they want to remove the pregnancy, you cannot stop them. They do it where at the end of the day, it ends up taking their lives.
Now, this is facing a lot of pushback because, supporters of the bill are saying that unsafe abortion accounts to around 10% of maternal death. 10% of maternal death? That's a lot. Healthcare workers are known to perform terminating procedures when the situation is incompatible with the life of a woman, usually in case of incomplete abortion. Because abortion is illegal, they cite other reason for termination. So, in other words, simple English, a lot of ladies in Sierra Leone, after having, encounters with men, surely fall pregnant and they don't want to keep the baby, they go and do self-termination. Sometimes they use sharp objects, or they use some pills to disrupt the pregnancy, or they use some means to see somebody from the health clinic or somebody that's knowledgeable in that sense, but not legally because it's illegal. And this accounts to 10% of maternal death. That's a lot. For a country as small as Sierra Leone, 90,000 abortions a year. That's less than 10 million human beings. 90,000. That is a lot.
I was 16 years old. I became pregnant and I have to take abortion pills, which was a traumatizing one. I did it once, it didn't work. I did it for the second time, that didn't work. This gave me the cause to focus my education, my activism on SRH issues, because I've been a victim. I don't want other girls to be a victim of it. That's why one of the main reasons I'm pushing this bill. I'm in support of this bill.
Now, they're promoting this because there's an NGO that just came, and this NGO that is European offered post-abortion care, including termination in case of incomplete miscarriage. After when people have tried and failed abortion themselves, the non-profit is the largest individual service provider of family planning service in the country. Well, this is sponsored by the man with the computers, Surely, he sent the money. So this is going to service people that want to do abortion. Do you think this is a good idea or not? Now, this is not just a Sierra Leone issue, okay? Let's just see throughout the continent. How does it work? In most African countries, abortion is not legal. Uganda. In Uganda, you cannot have abortion, only in a very strict condition. Some of the condition is health risk. If the mother's health is at risk, that is one of the reasons why they will allow you to have abortion. Abortion is only allowed when the mother's life is in danger or when continuing the pregnancy will significantly harm the physical or mental health of the woman. This includes situations where the pregnancy poses a danger to the woman's health or medical condition. The second reason why Uganda will allow abortion is if there's fetal abnormality. This is basically if the fetus is diagnosed with a severe abnormalities. And this is only the two reasons why they will allow abortion in Uganda. Let me remind you here, some of these African countries have very strong influence of spiritual and traditional leaders. And generally, this leadership opposes abortion. Many African countries have restrictive abortion laws, only allowing abortion in cases where the mother's life is in danger or in case of rape or incest. Okay, those are some of the rules why you will have abortion. Let me just name some of them very quickly. We have Uganda, Tanzania, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Egypt, Algeria, Cameroon, and more. So in most African countries, abortion is perceived as something that's shameful, especially if it's a woman that's not married. Being pregnant alone without marriage, it's a shame to the entire family. I know in some countries, a woman can go get a job, fall pregnant with a boyfriend, and it's okay. In most African countries, you will notice something. There's father, mother, and child. Okay, with the exception of some countries such as South Africa, where a lot of men were taken away from their families to go work. And that created a very strong imbalance. You will see a lot of men in South Africa today and women who have no parents. So they only probably grew up only with grandmother because mother had to go work. Okay, so they grew up with grandmother. Most actually have a lot of affection for grandmother, the affection they were supposed to give to the mother, because grandma has played the role of mother. And this is not limited to South Africans. This is very similar to what you see with African Americans. Now, the rest of Africa did not have that issue. Okay? The rest of Africa, there's daddy, mommy, and children, and mostly stable marriage. Mostly, in most cases. Now, will you see some families where there's no father? Surely you will see here and there. But for the majority of cases, the father goes and marries the woman, they have children, and they continue their legacy. So unlike some black communities where a grown woman, can fall pregnant from a boyfriend and have a life, have a child, and people just embrace it. In many African countries, if a girl falls pregnant, it's a shame. It's not something people celebrate. And sometimes they will push her even out of school. She cannot go to school. Sometimes the family would take her to the boy's family. Go stay there. That's your husband now. There's no such thing as you fall pregnant, he goes left, she goes right. Okay? To the exception of some. In most African countries, being pregnant before marriage is a shame. There's nothing to applaud. The parents are going to be okay with the child. Maybe later on, after the child is born, they're still going to look at you funny, but they will treat the child good. So a lot of women will rather have the abortion than have the child. Now, with that being said, some people that do not support abortion believe that abortion, as much as it sounds like a way out of trouble, is the reason why many women choose to become promiscuous. Now, a woman cannot be promiscuous by herself. She needs a man. You need two people to tango, right? But as you know, in most cases, men are not perceived as promiscuous. It's usually women that are blamed for promiscuity. That's what it is, unfortunately. Who are we to change that? That's the reality of it. Now, some of the dissidents believe allowing abortion will be drastic because it allows people to live an unprotected life, to live a promiscuous life, changing boyfriends and husbands 6-7 times because, I'm going to have an abortion anyway. Okay, having reckless encounters without protection because you can have abortion. Well, we all know that countries that do authorize abortion do not say that you should not use protection, but we also know clearly that the majority of people only use protection because they avoid falling pregnant. In theory, everybody knows they should pull up that little plastic. However, in fact, people don't do that because the reality is, as soon as one feels like they get close enough to somebody, as soon as they see each other 6-7 times, 9 times, they feel like they know each other, they give each other the benefit of the doubt. So when they do that, what they avoid the most is pregnancy because, you're dealing with somebody that looks nice, looks strong, looks healthy, looks beautiful. What are the chances people say, okay, you may look beautiful and still be sick or have HIV? Very rare, especially if you've had very good communication. You like one another. I've even heard one person say to me that some women in some places, I'm not going to name, they will ask you for protection on the first encounter. They say, where's your protection? Now, on the second encounter, they don't ask you anymore because they feel like they know you now. It's fine. And another one said to me, and excuse my language, he says on the first round she asked, and on the second round she doesn't even ask anymore. I mean, these things practically happen. Okay? Now, the people that don't want abortion, they say that abortion is the reason why many African countries have very high rates of HIV. Many of the people in Sierra Leone that are against abortion believe that allowing abortion to be decriminalized will be an open door to HIV. Now let's find out. Are they telling the truth when it comes to that? What does statistics say? Which countries have the highest HIV rate in the world? Number one country with the highest HIV rate in the world is Eswatini or Swaziland. This is the country with 27% of the people in the country being HIV positive. The next one is Lesotho. Lesotho has a HIV prevalence of 23.6. That means 1 person out of 4 is HIV positive. So if you see 4 people, 1 of them is HIV positive. That is Lesotho. And here's Lesotho on the map for people who don't know. Somewhere here. Okay, let's see the countries by the map. Eswatini and Lesotho. Number 3 is Botswana. Here is Botswana on the map with 21.9% of the population living with HIV. And number 4 is South Africa with 7.5 million people living with HIV. Now, look at the map. As you can see, Eswatini, Lesotho, South Africa, and Botswana. These are literally one country, okay? Just forget about what the colonizer did. This is one country. So it's the same people. They interspeak the language. I mean, in Botswana, they speak a language named Setswana. In South Africa, they also speak Setswana. In Eswatini, they speak Swati. In South Africa, they also speak Swati. In Lesotho, they speak Sotho. In South Africa, they also speak Sotho. So basically, we are talking about the same people. Literally. Now, we're trying to confirm the theory that says that if you allow abortion, if you make it free, your country is going to be full of HIV. Well, in South Africa, abortion on demand is allowed, meaning it's legalized. So you can choose, well, I don't want this pregnancy before 12 weeks and you're going to have it terminated. You don't even need to give a reason. You can just go to a clinic and say, I don't want this anymore. This boy doesn't act right. Please take it out. And they're going to do it. And I'm not sure whether the government pays for it, but they're going to do it safely for you with no issue. In Swaziland, you can only abort for some reason, for some specific reason, whether it's incest or rape or something like that. Same for other countries. Can we say that having abortion legalized is one of the reasons why people have HIV? Because these people believe that when people get together, one of the things they're not worried about, one of the things people are not worried about, look, technically and psychologically and scientifically, they're worried about it. But as soon as they get acquainted with somebody, they don't worry about condoms anymore. That's the reality according to these people. Do you think this is one of the reasons why South Africa has a very high rate of HIV? Because number one, it's okay to have a child. You know, the family is going to embrace the child. Where's the father? We don't give a continental about that boy. We don't even want to see his face. We want nothing to do with him. I'm not saying, oh, South Africa can do that, but it's okay. But we do know that in South Africa, whether the woman is married or not, the child is still welcome like that. Okay, it's fine. So unlike other African countries where a woman first needs to learn, a woman first needs to be married, then live with her husband, in South Africa, you can actually live with a boyfriend with no problem, okay? Nobody sees a big deal with that, especially if the woman is a breadwinner. If she makes money, she has a nice job. Well, nobody in the family will tell her, listen, you can't stay with that boy because she brings the bread home and the butter. So if you dare challenge her, she's probably going to cut off the bread and the butter. So could that be one of the reasons why there's so much HIV? We're trying to find out if the theory proposed by the Sierra Leone researchers is true, because they pointed fingers. They say South Africa has a lot of HIV. One of the reasons why is because abortion is open, is allowed since 1996. And from 1996 to 2025, the rate of HIV has skyrocketed. Now, is this true? Well, it's very interesting. Let's look at another country that's authorized abortion. Well, abortion is authorized in Tunisia, okay? It's legal. Abortion is legal on request up to 12 weeks of pregnancy. After 12 weeks of pregnancy, abortion is only allowed if a woman's life is at risk or in case of fetal abnormality. That is the law in Tunisia, voted in 1973. Abortion is legal in Tunisia also on demand. Now, let's compare that to South Africa. How is the HIV rate in Tunisia? The HIV prevalence in Tunisia is approximately 0.1% of the adult population. Okay, so people living with HIV turn out to be 25,000 for a population of 12 million people. And abortion is legal. Now, what's the difference between South Africa, where abortion is legal, high HIV rate, and Tunisia, abortion illegal and very low HIV rate? Could it be because of religion belief, perhaps? Tunisia is a very religious country. It's a Muslim country where you need to marry a guy before you go to his house. You need to marry a guy before you start having sexual encounters. As opposed to South Africa, where you can do, and many other African countries as well, where you can, have sexual whatever without necessarily being married. And also a woman can get a house and stay by herself. For those of you who don't know, okay? In most African countries, before you leave your parents' house, you need to be married as a woman. Even if you are 30 years old and you have a job, you will still live by the cottage at your parents' house before you leave. And some people believe when women leave and go stay by themselves, some women who are oriented in that sense, they want to experience the world. It's an opportunity as opposed to staying with your parents to have a partner coming over to your house and doing those things. And obviously, when you do that repeatedly because you don't have a stable relationship, you open up to opportunities to either falling pregnant or getting HIV, one of the two. I want to know how you feel about this, but before we finish this, I want us to watch this video. This is a very interesting video. This is in South Africa, and there's this lady that does videos, I believe. We found her online. She went to an illegal abortion facility. So basically, it's a doctor, supposedly doctor from Uganda, left Uganda, went all the way to South Africa. Look at the distance. This is Uganda. He went all the way to South Africa to open an office of abortion. In South Africa, in the street, especially Johannesburg, you would see boards that say you want to have an abortion, call this number. You see a lot of advertisements of doctors providing abortion services. And these are not registered doctors. Like this Ugandan guy doing abortion services in South Africa. Watch this.
I'm here for you. Where are you going? Huh? Stay. Dumela. Le kae? Lona. Ke re lo jalang mo. Doctor ka mo kae? Doctor ka mo kae? Ke na o. Ke na o. Doctor. Ke fing doctor. Okay, sharp.
So who you operating with?
So doctor you again.
Okay, I can learn.
O ba ka lemang?
Doctor Olive.
Okay.
I think Marangkali pa din ang pagsabi.
All right, okay ma'am.
Okay, good choice.
So how are you guys performing abortion? Let's say abortion mo doctor you. Eh? Ke gane ke ra ka gore doctor a o ka selle o sa tsorolela tšhelete ke re ko wena doctor eo so motho a ke re ha tlo dira abortion tshwantse doctor mo check pele
But mo ke re rekisa dipilisi fela ba ke ela doctor.
so ema pele a le rekisa dipilisi le rekisa ka mogong jwang
Ba fa dipilisi ja abortion.
ke ra gore o tsebela kae gore
A ke re
motho
ona a ja doctor nga ya dira scan.
a o sa go doctor o se so batleng mo se ba go doctor
Now na ke tselo so ba ba tle mo last week na se ke le bona last week.
so wena no o ba thusha jwang okay angihleki futhi and then come
The only doctor we have by the same of customers customer. There's no doctor.
wa bona go registered doctor
And even if
wa bona go registered
this one is suspended, even if it was practitioner is suspended, so wouldn't be allowed to practice anyway. So sisters, you are the one who was giving the pills to the patient.
Yeah, he direct me. I called him.
It doesn't matter by the fact that you are giving out pills. It means you're practicing. Yes, it means you're practicing. You can't do that because you're not a practitioner.
So this is a lady looking for a doctor. I mean, they've got a tip-off of a doctor doing abortion in this office. And obviously, the doctor's not there because probably he got a tip-off too, knowing that the police was coming to her. Now, as you can see, she's entered the office and she's pressing this lady. And this lady is South African and she's employed by this doctor. Well, she obviously knows that what this supposedly doctor is doing is not legal, but she's doing it because she needs the job. Other question on top of this is, if abortion is legal in South Africa, how come these bogus doctors have a market? What is the reasoning to that? If you can go to a clinic and get a safe abortion, how come these doctors are getting a market? Something is not right. So let me know how you feel about this. The question is this one. The people in Sierra Leone believe the reason why they should not allow abortion is because of legalizing abortion will open an opportunity to HIV. They gave an example of South Africa, believing the reason why South Africa has a lot of HIV, 7.5 million people living with HIV right now, is because you can have an abortion. Because people that are sexually active are not really worried about HIV. The majority, once they get acquainted, are more worried about falling pregnant than anything else. Let me know how you feel about this. It was a great pleasure. God bless.